Manyavar presents CNBC TV 18's Indian Business Icons, Leaders, Trailblazers, Radicals.
You know, I think if I look back at my childhood, I was certainly a very committed child in terms of my studies. I was very diligent as a child. I think I grew up and, in a family where, my parents played a very important role in my upbringing. My father was certainly a very influential figure in my life, and my father basically, was responsible for giving me a sense of confidence, making me feel that there is no such thing as a gender bias in society, and encouraging me to excel at what I did and do my best and aspire for doing something important in life. So I think that was certainly something that I really owe very deeply to my father. I went to Australia to pursue my academic career in brewing, obviously with the end goal of pursuing a professional career in brewing. I was the only woman in my class. I realized it was a male bastion, but that didn't deter me, because my father felt that I could become a great brewmaster. So after having successfully completed my brewing program and full of self-confidence, was what I felt when I returned to India. And I was so sure that I would be very well received and very well accepted by the brewing fraternity in India. But that was not to be, because I realized very rudely that it wasn't going to be easy, because they made me feel that being a woman is going to be a big challenge for them. I was a big risk for them. And that whilst I was technically very competent, and probably managerially had the potential of being competent, they just felt that they wouldn't like to risk management in my hands. And so that was quite a rude shock, and I felt it just had to do with my gender, because when I compared myself to my male counterparts in the brewing industry in India, I felt I was head and shoulders above them. I was deeply dejected and disappointed when I was not accepted in the brewing world in India, and of course I had a fallback option, which was really a job offer in the UK, and it was this accidental encounter with an Irish entrepreneur who had started a biotech company in Ireland, who was also a former brewer, by the way. And when he approached me saying he wanted to set up a company in India, and that he felt I could be a great entrepreneur who could help him start this venture, I just felt that my first response was, why, I don't think I'm a good partner for you, because I'm a woman, I have no business experience, I have no money to invest in the business, and really I'm going to be a big risk for you. But he kept saying, look, it has got nothing to do with all the things that you're talking about. I think it's to do with whether you have fire in the belly and whether you're willing to take on a challenge. And I think you have both of them. And so I guess he was very persuasive. And for me, I felt, okay, let me give it a shot. Because in a way, I was a bit rebellious. I felt, okay, let me prove all those doubters who questioned my ability to manage. I wanted to prove them wrong. And secondly, it sounded like quite an exciting thing to do, to start your own business. And so I just think I went for it in a very spontaneous way. So when I set up Biocon, of course it was on a spirit of challenge and a sense of purpose, and that keeps you very, very focused and very engaged. And I think I used to burn the midnight oil. I never felt tired doing what I was doing. I was full of energy and zeal and zest with what I was doing. And so the first few years, of course, had full of obstacles and challenges, but I was young, I was wanting to prove myself, so nothing came in my way. Over the years, of course, as I sort of reached the next phase and the next phase of growth, obviously each phase came with a set of very different challenges. So the first phase was about credibility challenges. How credible was I as a woman entrepreneur? How credible was I as a young person trying to set up a company? In those days, nobody started a company at 25 years of age. Then there was this whole credibility challenge of, getting people to work for a woman boss, getting banks to basically feel secure that a woman entrepreneur is a safe investment, and so on and so forth. And I overcame those challenges pretty successfully, which gave me even greater confidence. Then came the next set of challenges, which was really about setting up systems, quality systems, manufacturing systems, getting together a team of people, and how do we build this company. So that became a very important set of challenges for me, but even that was something that I was able to overcome thanks to a great team that I put together. And then came the third set of challenges, which was when we transformed our business from enzymes to biopharmaceuticals, and that came with its own regulatory challenges. And so as I said, every phase of your growth, I'm sure every entrepreneur goes through this, is about a new set of challenges. And I think every entrepreneur realizes that it's challenges that keep you going. I first met my husband John when he had just come to India. He took over as chairman and managing director of Madura Coats, and the headquarters of Madura Coats were in Bangalore. So I first met him at a social gathering where we just got talking, and then of course we found that we had a few interests, and such as art, such as golf, and both of us were single, so we decided to spend time with each other. We started dating each other. We would spend weekend golf, we would play weekend golf together, we would go to art shows together, we would go to many social get-togethers together. So over time, it was almost 7 years of dating and courting before we decided to get married. Basically, when we got married, my husband was actually in Europe, and after spending a year of this long distance kind of marriage, where I was in Bangalore and he was in Amsterdam, and we used to keep visiting each other every few months, I felt was not going to work in the long term. And so one day I said to John, I said, look John, one of us has to give up our jobs, and it's not me. He always says that she said it in one breath, and of course he realized that he was in a better position to give up and resign or retire from his job than obviously me trying to give up all this that I had built up. So he very gladly actually took early retirement from his job, and joined me because he is a great finance guy, and I thought that was a great combination that we'd have. But apart from that, what John really helped me with was very important. When we got married, it almost coincided with an opportunity for Biocon to buy back our shares from Unilever and become totally independent. Now, I had no money to kind of buy back those shares, but John had some property in the UK which he sold and then bought those shares. So he always says that that was true love, and he felt that that was the best investment he made, which obviously he got great returns from. We've had many eureka moments. Obviously the first eureka moment was when we scaled up our first proprietary homegrown enzyme technology, which became a big success. The second eureka moment was when we got our first recombinant biotherapeutic developed and brought to the market, which was insulin. Even before that, we had another eureka moment, which was to get the first US FDA approval for our statins. And then we had many more eureka moments, including when we went public and became a billion-dollar company on the first day of listing. And suddenly the eureka moment was, wow, we've really created huge value over the years. So I think we've had many eureka moments, and these moments keep coming. I remember when I was setting up my business, there was a category under sort of a loan finance scheme by the Karnataka State Financial Corporation that said scheduled caste, disabled and women entrepreneurs. That was the kind of category we were put in. I mean, fortunately there's no such category for women entrepreneurs today. We are considered to be a very important segment of business and investment, and investment in terms of access of capital for women entrepreneurs is much easier than when it was in my times. And I think today I think women are far more competent, far more confident, and I think you will see from the number of women-led startups today in Bangalore how things have changed. I have always looked at Biocon as being a global leader in the area of biologics, where I believe that we can play a huge role in global healthcare, because our whole ethos is about providing affordable access to patients who need these very important life-saving, life-enhancing drugs. I always say that to me, a blockbuster drug is not about $1 billion, but it's about 1 billion patients. And I really believe in that, because I think the model that we pursue in countries like India is about high volume and low value, which is in sharp contrast to what the West really looks at as an optimal business model, which is really high value, low volume, because they cater to a very small segment of patients. We have to cater to a much larger segment of patients. And healthcare and pharmaceuticals in particular is a very humanitarian business. So I am an entrepreneur who is very humanitarian in the way I go about my business. I always believe that when you're in a position of influence, you should really do things which take you beyond your business. And for me, I've done 2 or 3 things which have taken me beyond my business. One is I've been very focused on the philanthropy side, where I have set up a cancer hospital. I'm very keen on spearheading or catalyzing translational research, especially in cancer. I am someone who has also taken time off and dedicated a lot of my time to governance issues. So I'm the president of BPAC, or the Bangalore Political Action Committee, where we're really trying to be a pressure group that works with the government to try and bring about better governance. And I think we're doing a lot of good things for the city. Of course, it's a thankless job. I mean, let me tell you, I get a lot of brickbats from people who are ready to criticize, and we have a lot of armchair critics in this country who do nothing but will always criticize and question people who do. So you have to get used to that. Of course, it really upsets me and irritates me, because I am very sensitive as a person. I don't have a thick hide. But I really wish people would start doing things instead of criticizing. There have been a lot of people who have inspired me in my life. I think all entrepreneurs have inspired me, whether it's Devi Shetty, whether it's Narayan Murthy, Azim Premji and others. I think they've all inspired me in their own way. I've also been inspired by young people. Rohan Murthy, who I consider to be my godson, is someone I get very inspired with. I've been very inspired with some of the younger generation of startup companies. Naveen Tiwari is one person who I think is a very promising young entrepreneur who is very dynamic and a real thought leader and a great business leader of the future. And then of course I've been inspired by people like my father. There was Mr. Vagul, who really inspired me a lot. He mentored me a lot. His brother Bala Manian is a great inspirational person who I spend a lot of time with, because he's a very inventive and out-of-box thinker, and he inspires me a lot. So I spend a lot of time with these people who are very meaningful people, who have, you know, made me think differently, who have actually challenged me in many ways and made me therefore break out of the mold. See, my business mantra has really been about differentiation and innovation. I've always believed that if you want to stand apart and be recognized, you have to do things differently and you have to look very different. So differentiation has been a very strong part of my business strategy. And then I've really bet very big on innovation. I really think innovation also further enhances differentiation. So to me, that's been my business mantra. And to young people, I would say that, you know, go for whatever you think is important for you, but have a sense of purpose. You know, I think without a sense of purpose, you will not be that successful. You know, I'm very fond of music. Yes, I used to sing Hindustani classical music many years ago. Now I only get to appreciate it, and that's great. I'm very fond of art. I used to paint, but now of course I appreciate works of art. I am a person who visits art museums wherever I go. I love, you know, watching sport. I used to play golf, but it takes up too much time, so I don't play golf anymore. But I love watching cricket. I'm a great cricket buff. I love tennis. I love golf. And I'm beginning to like soccer. So, you know, I am a great sports enthusiast. I love plays. I love acting. I used to act at one time, but these days, of course, I try to go and see as many plays as I can. And then, of course, I love water sports and I love snorkeling. And, you know, whenever I have time off, I try to, you know, go with my family to a sort of a seaside resort, and, you know, where we can actually swim and snorkel, and that's what I indulge in. But if you ask me, do I have time to myself, or time, the kind of time I'd like, the answer is no. I don't have enough time to devote to all these wonderful things, but whenever I have a little bit of time, I like to do that. There are many songs like I Did It My Way. I love that song because that's something which everyone relates to, I think. And of course, you know, I do listen a lot to music. I love certain songs. I like Vaishnava Janato. I think it's a beautiful bhajan. And, you know, being a classical singer, obviously you can imagine that I'm very fond of a lot of great musicians and singers, and, you know, I belong to the Agra Gharana, but of course I liked many other Gharanas. I would say that if I was to say what are the kind of regrets that I've had on the professional front, I think I would have grown much faster if I had really gone through formal business, a formal business program, an MBA. But then I've sort of learnt a real life MBA. Maybe I've just gone through an MBA program in real life. If you were to ask me on my personal, in my personal life, what are my regrets? I think my only regret is I don't have my own children. I think that would be my only regret. But then, you know, I've always considered Biocon as my baby.
Manyavar presents CNBC TV 18's Indian Business Icons, Leaders, Trailblazers, Radicals.